Nagi Sashiro is coming back to Blue Lock, and when he does, he's going to change everything. He's going to bring another level and challenge the players at the top of Japan like Asagi, Rin, and Shido. I think he's even going to challenge Jinpachi himself. We all saw the doubt everyone is beginning to grow in the locker room. Everyone even doubting what ego is. Jinpachi having to step in to explain what ego is in the next chapter has all to say. Honestly, Nagi coming back to Japan to help them win the World Cup is exactly what Blue Lock needs. Side B is still running, but if you've been watching this arc, you already know how it ends. The most naturally gifted player this program has ever seen is making his way back. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And when he gets there, there's nothing the current squad can do about it. And that is the best possible thing that could happen to this program. Nagi is carrying something back with him that no player currently inside that building has any framework to handle. And the moment he steps onto that pitch, every evolution arc, every power ranking, every strategy running inside Blue Lock right now gets stress test simultaneously. There's a specific gap between what Blue Lock was architecturally designed to produce and what Nagi actually is as a player. And it's not a talent gap. Every player in that building is elite. Talent stopped being the distinguishing variable a long time ago. It's not a hunter gap, not a technique gap, not anything the program's selection logic was built to measure. It's structural. And once you see it clearly, the way you read every matchup and every evolution arc currently operating inside Blue Lock shifts. Nagi entered Blue Lock with zero formal training and a level of natural talent that stopped everyone in the program cold. He was producing plays that players who had dedicated their entire lives to football couldn't explain, and doing it with the energy of someone who didn't particularly need the outcome to go his way. His partnership with Ryo Mikage gave that talent a container. Ryo brought the vision, the obsession, the hunger the program is built to run on. Nagi provided the impossible. Together, they went further than either could have alone, until Blue Lock stripped that safety net away entirely. Blue Lock doesn't reward partnerships. It isolates individual ego and forces it to either grow or break. When Ryo's drive was no longer carrying him, Nagi hit a ceiling that raw talent alone couldn't move. He was cut. But here's what everyone gets wrong about that elimination. He didn't leave with a deficit gap. He had to close to come back. He left with a question, not what Blue Lock needed from him, not what Ryo needed from him. What does Nagi himself actually play for? He found the answer on the other side of that question. And the player that answer is built is the one walking back in now. That distinction is the foundation of everything we're about to get into. Side B is not a consolation bracket. 3 reinstatement spots. Every player competing there already knows what elimination costs. None of them can afford to find out what losing twice looks like. And my boy Kira is cooked. 3 players earn their way back. Itoshi Sei is the clearest read, which was already stated by Hirotoshi Baratsuda as the one that will come back even though it's only going to be against Bunny in Spain, which sucks balls. Hanaru Shindo is the one the community is genuinely underestimating. Shindo is elite. His talent is not in question. His philosophy is. He isn't returning to integrate into the program. He is returning to prove from the inside that Ego's model is fundamentally wrong. And I think he will make it in the top 3. It makes sense to challenge Jinpachi Ego. And then there's Nagi, and he's gonna go crazy when he comes back. He's gonna be like 10 times better than Kunigami, fundamentally changing Japan, and whoever adapts fastest to Nagi's arrival will be ahead. Every player in that building has built their game around a logic that can be mapped. Isagi's metavision reads spatial patterns. He doesn't react to where the ball is, he calculates where it's going to be, where the opening will form, and positions himself ahead of it before it physically exists. Every breakthrough he's had in this series is an expansion of the same core ability, predicting the game before it happens. His ceiling lives entirely inside that predictive framework. Kaiser operates through calculated dominance. He controls matches by controlling space and imposing his own logic on how the game develops. He doesn't adapt to what's in front of him, he makes what's in front of him adapt to him. Rin doesn't predict like Isagi or dominate like Kaiser, he overwhelms. Technical perfection, relentless pressure, a floor that is already elite, and a ceiling that hasn't been located. You feel Rin on every single touch. 3 completely different styles, 3 completely different approaches to being the best player on the pitch. Their games have a structure you can read, a logic, a pattern. If you're elite enough, you can study it and find a way to compete against it. Every player measures their evolution against a standard they can see and map. Nagi doesn't optimize. He doesn't calculate sequences. He doesn't impose a logic onto the match. He responds to it in ways that emerge from somewhere that has nothing to do with strategy. His plays are the result of feeling what's possible in a single moment and acting on it before the thought is fully formed. At his previous level, that was extraordinary. At the level he's returning to now, God Ego active, that is something the current hierarchy has no existing framework to account for. And what it means isn't just that one player is difficult to read. It means every framework operating inside Blue Lock simultaneously, every evolution, every ranking power, every strategy built on the logic the program itself runs on is about to be stress tested by someone who doesn't fit inside any of it. Before that, hit that like and subscribe button to help Nagi escape and get back to Blue Lock. Start with Isagi. His entire arc is built on prediction. Metavision is the ability to see patterns, map possibilities, and position himself at the intersection of where the play is going to be before it physically arrives. Every breakthrough he's had came from expanding that ability reading more, anticipating faster, processing more variables in less time. Nagi's game gives Metavision nothing to read. Nagi plays entirely in the present, responding to moments rather than building toward them, and what emerges from that is fundamentally different from anything Isagi's framework was designed to process. Metavision was built for structure. Nagi doesn't produce structure. To compete at the same level as this version of Nagi, Isagi doesn't need to improve within his existing framework. He needs to reconstruct it. Find a way for Metavision to function in the complete absence of the patterns it runs on. That is not an upgrade. That is a different category of evolution entirely. And it's the kind of pressure that will define whether Isagi's ceiling is real or whether it can be broken. The same pressure hits the board from every angle. Kaiser's dominance is built on imposing match logic, controlling the structure of the game until it bends toward him. Nagi doesn't produce match logic. You cannot impose structure onto something that isn't generating one. Kaiser's approach runs into a wall it was never designed to hit. Rin's relentless pressure is built to break players who are defending a position. Nagi isn't defending anything. He isn't grinding against the pressure, he's expressing. That is a fundamentally different problem, and it demands a fundamentally different solution. Every player currently inside Blue Lock who thinks they know where they stand is about to have their entire framework tested by someone who simply doesn't fit inside it. Blue Lock's entire architecture runs on one philosophy: maximize individual ego, produce the world's greatest striker. Even the most rebellious players inside that program operate within that design at their core. Kaiser's arrogance is exactly what ego built the system to channel. Rin's obsessive perfection is the program working precisely as intended. Isagi's relentless need to evolve is the model producing what it was designed to produce. Nagi's ego doesn't fit that shape. He doesn't play for a title. He doesn't play to prove something or answer a hunger the program has learned to measure and direct. He plays for the spectacle of a single moment, for the feeling of doing something on a pitch that nobody else could conceive. Not because it wins, because it's what he is. A player at God-level ability inside a program built around a completely different psychological architecture, operating fully on his own terms that does not resolve cleanly into the existing order. Not because Nagi is working against it, because he is completely, genuinely himself inside it. The hierarchy doesn't collapse, okay? Every elite player is still elite. The competition is still the most intense environment in football. But the unspoken rules everyone has been using to measure themselves, to track evolution, to predict who's above and who's below those rules, has just developed a permanent exception at the highest level. Exceptions at that level don't stay quiet. They force everyone around them to grow in directions they never planned for. If Nagi's ego genuinely doesn't fit the architecture ego designed, if the most disruptive variable inside the program runs on logic the system was never built to absorb, what does that mean for Ego's model itself? Because everything we just covered basically means there is one player inside Blue Lock whose entire existence is a quiet argument that the program has a limit it has never acknowledged. And there's another player about to walk through those doors whose entire mission is to prove exactly that from the inside. That player, the one whose entire arc is built on proving Ego's model has a limit, is Hanaru Shindo. That's for another video. But if you want to see England versus Blue Lock predictions, click this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you know when videos like these come out. Bye.